ladies and gentlemen. Derek Chauvin's former supervisor, who you see in this picture, David Ploger, he testified and he said that Chauvin's former supervisor, he says the restraint should have ended much sooner. He should not have been restrained for the simple fact that he was not resisting. So, retired Sergeant David Ploger of the Minneapolis Police Department testified Thursday in the trial of former officer Derek Chauvin that the force officers used against George Floyd went too long and should have ended once Floyd had been handcuffed and stopped resisting. Yeah, he wasn't doing a lot of resisting there. When Mr. Floyd was no longer offering up any resistance to the officers, they could have ended the restraint. Ploger told the court there should not have been a restraint. For a counterfeit $20 bill, it shouldn't have been no more than a citation, and the cop should have moved on. Plain and simple. And if the store thought the bill was counterfeit, why not just give the bill back to him and not give him service? As simple as that. Why did it have to amount to cops being called? If you see something wrong with money, you hand it back to that customer and you make sure they don't get the merchandise. That's it. Okay. It would be reasonable to put a knee on someone's neck until they were not resisting anymore, but it should have stopped when they are no longer combative, he said. No, I don't believe a knee should ever be on anybody's neck. I disagree with this supervisor big time. Later adding that the officers are supposed to put restrained subjects on their side to help with their breathing, according to police policy. Well, I don't think Derek Chauvin was concerned about policy when he was killing George Floyd. And you could see he was rolling his knee back and forth on his neck. Okay, he wasn't worried about no damn policy. Ploger was the final witness on Thursday, and he opened the door to what will likely be a technical portion of the trial. Ploger, who was the shift supervisor in charge of Chauvin, and the three other officers responding to the call about a man trying to use a counterfeit bill at Cup Foods, was repeatedly asked about the department use of force policies in an attempt to establish whether Chauvin violated the protocols or acted within their bounds. The veteran law enforcement officer is the supervisor who was called by 911 dispatcher Jenna Scurry on the day Floyd died in police custody. Scurry, who testified on Monday, had become alarmed watching real-time video footage of the arrest and told the court that the officers pinned Floyd to the ground in a prone position. For so long, she initially believed her dispatch screen had frozen. In the tape of her call to the department, the court heard her tell Ploger that she believed the officers used excessive force, but that the incident had not been reported as of that moment. The call prompted Ploger to call Chauvin on his cell phone. In exchange, the jury heard for the first time on Thursday. In the call, the sergeant asked Chauvin, "What's going on?" "I was just going to call and have you come out to our scene here," the defendant can be heard saying. "We had to hold the guy down. He was going crazy," which is a lie. He wasn't. He was screaming for his life. I don't if you want to call that going crazy. Okay, he wouldn't go in back of the squad car, which is a lie. Chauvin said before the recorded portion of the call was cut off. He does not tell Ploger that he had managed to restrain Floyd by pressing his knee into the black man's neck for nearly 9 minutes, as onlookers narrated, what appeared to be his final breaths. I believe he told me that they had tried to put Floyd, I don't know his name at the time, Mr. Floyd, into the car. He had become combative, Ploger recalled on the stand. I think he mentioned that he had injured either his nose or mouth, a bloody lip, I think. And eventually, after struggling with him, he suffered a medical emergency, which is a lie. So they reported a lie to the supervisor, and an ambulance was called, and they headed out of the scene. Ploger continued. Following the call, Ploger said he drove to the scene of the incident, where upon arrival, he learned the gravity of the situation. But even after he arrived, he told the court neither Chauvin nor any of the officers informed him that the defendant had knelt on Floyd's neck and back while handcuffed and long after he passed out. It wasn't until later that night at Hennepin County Medical Center that Chauvin finally told him what he had done, Ploger said. But the officer did not specify the length of time he had pinned down Floyd. So that's lying. So he lied. He didn't tell you the full, not telling the full truth. That's a lie. Defense attorney Eric Nelson spent much of the cross-examination asking Ploger a series of hypothetical questions to illustrate how officers are required to assess various threat levels in any given situation and modify their behavior accordingly. They weren't in no kind of, there were no threats towards those officers. So, if during an arrest, a crowd of bystanders grow increasingly volatile, Nelson asked, should an officer focus on the arrest or the crowd? I guess you have to deal with both simultaneously, Ploger responded. Then Nelson proposed a more extreme scenario. He asked if Ploger were involved in a gun battle and a person was injured, would he deal with the threat or perform CPR on an imaginary victim? Ploger said he would deal with the threat. In response to another of Nelson's question, Ploger said he agreed that officers sometimes have to do very violent things. Yeah, but that didn't have to be done to George Floyd. So I'm sorry. Okay, so as you can hear, this guy really didn't get the full story until he was at the medical center. So even when he arrived at the scene and Floyd was still there on the ground, Derek Chauvin didn't even tell the truth. And it wasn't until he got to the medical center he told a portion of the truth, but he never said how long he was on George Floyd's neck. So in a sense, that whatever you left out, that's still a lie. That's still lying. So he didn't actually find out until much later, especially when the video came out, exactly what happened. And, this is a former supervisor. And I wonder if what happened with Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd led to him not being employed as a police officer anymore, as a supervisor. It doesn't say, but I have to wonder that, or he stepped down realizing he couldn't defend that. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Derek Chauvin was there way too long. He really should not have been a cop. It's just like so many of them that kill our people unarmed. They really shouldn't be cops, but they like them crazy MFer cops. Those are the ones they like because they feel like they keep us in control. Well, the way I see it, America, you can't even keep COVID in control. You are COVID's bitch. Never forget that. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. And COVID is the #1 killer of American police officers. Peace, family.